Hello, I'm Goldsboro City Manager Scott Stevens, and I would like to share some educational information about both the infrastructure bond, $7 million, and the Parks and Recreation bond, $3 million, that you will find on the ballot in the upcoming November 8, 2016 election. Both bonds, totaling $10 million, would provide both substantial and prompt improvements to our city's infrastructure. Let me start with the $3 million Parks and Recreation bond referendum.
So how will the $3 million Park and Recreation bond referendum monies be spent?
Currently, the City of Goldsboro proposes to lease a 62.35-acre property off of Oak Forest Road behind Meadow Lane Elementary School from the United States Air Force that will be used for a multi-sports complex to serve the City of Goldsboro, Seymour Johnson, and Wayne County community as the premier practice, game, and tournament venue for youth and adult field sports such as football, soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, ultimate frisbee, and any other field sport that can be generated in the coming years. These facilities will be the crown jewel of the Goldsboro Parks and Recreation Department and the joint sports leagues for the Family YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and the Seymour Johnson Athletics Department. The plans for this complex include the construction of 8 full-size illuminated multi-sports fields, and we do have a mixture of artificial versus natural turf fields, parking, restrooms, walking trails, shelters, playgrounds, concession facilities, and in addition, a new security fence will be erected so that access to this facility will be from outside the boundaries of the secured perimeter of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. The City of Goldsboro Parks and Recreation Department will maintain the facilities and schedule events at the complex. Proposed tournament events are planned for this facility that will stimulate the economy and encourage new investment. It will also provide more recreation, entertainment, and shopping options for the citizens of Goldsboro and Wayne County. What we hope this facility will do is allow us to have world-class facilities for our kids here in the community while letting visitors that come in and pay tourism tax pay for these facilities. Funding of $4 million is available for this project, but an additional $3 million is needed to improve the field and facility quality for the initial opening. If the bond referendum is not approved, the fields will be built in phases and are enhanced over time. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about our $7 million infrastructure bond, which will be used for street resurfacing. The City of Goldsboro has 163 miles of paved and 9 miles of unpaved city streets. The work to maintain, repair, and improve our streets ranges from patching, crack sealing, drainage improvements, resurfacing, and new construction. The funding the city receives from the state is not enough to meet the need. Therefore, local funding is regularly allocated in our budget process to maintain and resurface city streets. Infrastructure bond proceeds would allow the city to increase resurfacing from approximately $500,000 per year to over $2.5 million per year for each of the next 3 years. We have provided a list and map of streets that would be paved in the first phase of bond resurfacing. This list was approved by the City Council September 26, 2016. So if the bond is approved, these projects will be done in the spring of 2017. The remainder of our paved streets will be evaluated and rated against each other, and a pavement condition rating developed such that recommendations for future resurfacing can be based on current paving conditions and traffic loads. The infrastructure bond's proceeds would also allow the city to pave some unpaved streets maintained by the city. The existing unpaved streets are being evaluated and will be prioritized based on the number of property owners, traffic, access issues to determine a high priority, medium priority, and low priority for paving. The city is working with limited revenue growth. After operational expenses are calculated, there are limited funds for capital improvements. If the bonds do not pass, the work that is described will stretch out over many years. A bond referendum gives voters the power to decide if the city should be authorized to raise funds through the sale of bonds. A general obligation bond is a long-term borrowing in which a city pledges its full faith and credit or our taxing power to repay the debt over a specified term. General obligation bonds are the least costly financing option available to the city for these projects. Given the city's strong credit rating and financial management, Goldsboro can borrow money at lower interest rates and issuance costs, thus saving Goldsboro taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars over the repayment period. The city will have 7, which can be extended to 10, years to issue the bonds and 20 years to pay back the bonds after the funds are received. The Goldsboro City Council has approved the opportunity for voters to consider the issuance of $10 million in bonds to finance the capital improvement projects that we have discussed at the polls on November 8, 2016. The sale of these bonds will not increase the tax rate. Your vote for the bond referendums will authorize the city to borrow funds to provide infrastructure improvements for the intended projects. Residents of the City of Goldsboro who are registered to vote are eligible voters. Early voting started on October 18th, and Election Day is November 8th. For more information on how to register, where to vote, and early voting dates and locations, please call 919-731-1411 or visit the Board of Elections website. I'd like to thank you for taking this time to listen to at least some information about the bond referendum, the infrastructure bond and the Parks and Recreation bond. My goal and job is to educate, not promote. It's really for you to decide to vote yes or no. For more details and frequently asked questions, please visit the City of Goldsboro's webpage at www.goldsboronc.gov, or you can call my office, the City Manager's office, at 919-580-4330. We would be happy to talk with you, visit civic clubs, talk with churches to make sure you have the information you need to make an informed decision when you go to vote this election season. Thank you very much.